This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, we are on August 17th, 2021. And you know what? I've done 3 Horror-ramas. I've done 1 Toronto Comic Con. And knock on wood, although I do have my ticket, so I better make it. I plan to do my first Frightmare in the Falls. And you know what? I need this because in the past year and a half for the pandemic lockdown, we're mask free here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. So we just got mask free in the end of July. So I am looking forward to finally doing a vacation because I worked as an essential worker through this whole pandemic crap show. I need to get back to Toronto, and I miss Toronto. Anybody that knows me knows I miss Toronto. But folks, I have a wonderful guest on the show because I haven't done Frightmare in the Falls. I'm wearing my Horror-rama, one of my Horror-rama shirts today, but we're going to be promoting another convention out of the Toronto area. Folks, I give you Mr. James Ponce, one of the co-founders of Frightmare in the Falls. How do you do, James?
Doing good, Greg. Thanks for having me on. Like you said, it's been a long year and a half, and we're looking forward to it too. It's been by the time Frightmare takes place, it'll have been about 2 years since myself and my business partner Chris Dabrowski have run a convention, and that's pretty much that's our kind of our livelihood and our life. We run events and we absolutely love it. It's such a fun job. So we're happy to kind of be back, and I don't want to say full effect, but things are roaring and we're giving her. We're looking forward to it. So, and actually, just to quickly, you said the Toronto area. We're the Niagara region. We're Niagara Falls. Just
Niagara Falls.
Yep. For the fans.
Yep. Well,
no big deal.
Yeah. Well, we're mask free here, but I am going to bring some masks with me. I got some special masks. I got a Friday the 13th Jason mask.
Awesome.
I got a Blues Brothers mask. I've got a Big Lebowski mask, and I got a John Carpenter's Halloween mask.
Perfect.
So, but anyway, I think I'll start off here by getting your background and how you got into doing Frightmare in the Falls.
Okay, so my business partner Chris and I, as I mentioned, run conventions around Ontario. We do, one-off music festivals and things like that as well. So we've run Niagara Falls Comic Con since it was founded in 2011, and we've always had a horror element. Our first event at the convention center was in 2012. We had the late great Gunnar Hansen as our guest of honor in our horror section, and it just kind of spiraled from there. We went from having Gunnar Hansen to the next year having Kane Hodder and Tom Savini and Charles Band and quite a few people. And then we went into our next year when we had Tyler Main and Tony Todd and Derek Mears, and we kind of kept going. And we've had Elvira, and we've had Linda Blair, and we've had Robert Englund, and we've had Nick Castle and Bruce Campbell, and it's kind of our Comic-Con has always done very well. The horror section, all the horror guests always have some of the largest lines of the show. It's shown us that horror fans are very dedicated fans. So we were kind of, it was I believe the first Frightmare in the Falls was in 2017. So we were kind of discussing, we had gone back and forth and hemmed and hawed about doing a horror convention. And there was another one in Ontario that kind of popped up in Hamilton. And after we found it wasn't going again, we decided, there's obviously a market for this. If we capitalize on it, do it properly, take the business model we've learned from running other shows, incorporate, a vast fan experience. And that's kind of what we did. So we tried to make Frightmare in the Falls, you know, an intimate and interactive show. It's not just vendors selling things, and it's not just celebrity Q&As. We've got, you know, movie cars, and we've got interactive photo op exhibits. We've got a 600 square foot fright house for people to walk through and get scared. And so it's kind of a little bit of everything, celebrating the horror and fright genre, which I think is kind of what we've done to kind of separate ourselves from other things. We've got makeup tutorials and demos, and you know, we've done screenings, and we literally try to take every single piece of horror culture you can imagine and amalgamate it into one fan experience. And I think that's kind of where we've differentiated ourselves by, like I said, applying some of the methods we've learned from other shows and giving it to the horror fans, because there really is no horror show like Frightmare in North America that we know of. You know, there's obviously other horror conventions, but they don't seem to embrace some of the things we have. You know, we brought in musicians and things like that too, that, you know, rock music obviously has a huge part.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
That. So it's something we try to integrate.
Yep. Well, I am looking forward to doing my first Frightmare in the Falls. Horrorama got canceled this year. Not so much because of the pandemic. It's just that when things started to clear up a little more in Toronto, that I think the situation was they just didn't have time to book guests and organize it. So it was Lisa Langlois from class of 1984 that suggested Frightmare in the Falls. And she had mentioned that to me before. And I'll mention my connection with her because she plays a huge part in me doing these in the first place. I'm 49 years old, and I spent all my life here in Fredericton. I've gotten homesick just traveling to Moncton or St. John. As far as I've been was PEI when I was young.
Okay.
And I would get homesick anytime I went somewhere. So I hated the idea of travel. And when I started doing this podcast, I started the podcast part in 2015 after a chance interview with Tommy Wiseau from The Room. And it was just like, who else can I interview? And it just went from there. And here I am, you know. So I've done over 460 interviews since.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, I love this. Well, what had happened was I had Lisa Langlois on here a couple of times. In fact, she's planning to come on again, hopefully before the end of the year. But she, on our second interview, we got talking about travel because she lived in Los Angeles for 32 years and she finally moved back to Toronto because she's always wanted to come back to Toronto because that's where she's from, that area. But she, we got talking about travel and she asked what was stopping me. And I went into my whole spiel about, you know, homesickness and whatnot. And like Marlon Brando and The Godfather, she made me an offer I could not refuse. She said that Horrorama 2017 is coming up. She's going to be at that event. And she invited me to assist her at the event.
Okay.
And I couldn't say no. And I'm going to be frank, I was petrified because I knew I had to travel. And as the date came, the more anxious I got, more nervous I got about it. I'm the only one in my family who's ever flown. And to be quite frank with you, when I got on that plane, it was like a bus in the air. It didn't bother me. I took Porter Airlines, which I really enjoyed, and landed in Toronto Island. I took the tunnel across, and it's the first time since the 80s that I've seen escalators because we haven't had them here since the 80s. And when I got to the surface, like we got tall buildings here, but nothing like Toronto. It was like, I'm not in Kansas anymore. But I remember when I was at the airport in Fredericton, Lisa had called me and she made arrangements to meet me at Union Station. And so she instructed me when I got to the surface to take the shuttle bus to Union Station. And it was really cool because I've known about Class of 1984 since the 80s. I love that movie. And I was going to meet Patsy herself. And Patsy has become a friend. We talk, I call her every week. And she's given me a lot of advice on expanding my brand, like getting business cards and stuff like that done up and whatnot. And she got me skilled on subways and streetcars, and I got settled in my spot there. She took me to where I was lodging, and I went there on a Thursday. It was Thursday night that I had landed there, and the Horrorama was Saturday and Sunday. But I landed there on Thursday night, and I took the Friday to go to meet Lisa and go around and help her. She was getting her photos and stuff done up.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it to help her out, but I also did it because it was a great opportunity to see the city. And so I've been to Toronto, like I said, 3 Horror-Ramas, 1 Comic-Con. And she's got me very well versed on the subways and whatnot. And it got so bad. Actually, here's the real kicker. We went to dinner that Thursday night, and we just chatted. She asked me a lot about Fredericton and the Maritimes and this and that. And one thing that was going through my head was, why in the hell am I not homesick? I wasn't homesick. I stayed in Toronto a week. I spent a lot of time with Lisa. I met her a lot of days because I have this thing where I save all my scene points from the movie theater.
Yep.
And I go to Toronto and I say, Lisa, if you got any movies you want to see, I got over 20 now, free ones. I say, if you got free ones, let me know. So anyway, I wasn't homesick, and I was like, why is it I go to Moncton and St. John and I'm homesick, but I go to Toronto and I don't want to come home. I literally did not want to come home. And I went to the convention. I assisted Lisa at her table. I made connection with some of the other guests. And I had a blast. I remember I wore a Clockwork Orange t-shirt when I was there that first day, and this woman dressed as a demented clown walked up to me and she goes, I like your shirt. And I said, thanks. And she rolled up her sleeve and it had a Clockwork Orange poster tattooed on her arm. It was so cool, the communal feeling of that event.
Yeah, you know what? And that goes back to something you and I were talking before you started recording. Is that horror fans are a very dedicated community. A lot of them know each other, even if they don't travel together. When they're at the show, like you said, it's a sense of community. All the vendors, fans, they know each other, they see each other. It really is a community, and that's kind of why we think Frightmare in the Falls has been so successful. It's been absolutely embraced by the horror fans in Ontario and across Canada. There really there's never been anything like it, like our show in the area for people to attend, and we kind of think that horror fans were kind of a genre that maybe weren't serviced until I think it was kind of us and Horrorama. We debuted around the same time, I believe. I think it was in 2017, both of us. So it was.
It was 2014 for them, but I didn't attend it. Oh yeah, they actually on their website, and I would encourage you guys to do this too, because I really enjoy this about their site. In the contact section, it scrolls down and they have from 2014 to the present all the guests they've had. And I'm kind of like, that's pretty cool, you know? And wasn't there for those first three, but 2017 to the present, I was to every one of them. I know they get a farmers market type their flea market deal going on in this month, but I won't be there for that. And you know, they're supposed to have their event October 2nd and 3rd, but got canceled. And I was planning to do that and Frightmare in the Falls, but I'm glad Frightmare in the Falls is still an open because, well, I've I've gone vacation free for too long. I gotta get back out, you know,
Yeah.
and feel that again.
You've never seen the falls before, then, have you?
No, like I said, when I go to Toronto, I always connect with Lisa, and that was something we were going to do.
Okay.
2018, she met me again, and we connected. And right now, with she and I, it's like a friendship now. You know, it's like so we went around and I went to a couple Christmas parties with her and whatnot. It's funny because when Toronto Comic Con I went to in 2019, I almost didn't go because Lisa said that she was going to be in California visiting family. And I was nervous about that because I was like, gee, because having Lisa at phone length was in around in Toronto, it was easy,
Yeah.
you know, because she was my connection. But she told me that to do Toronto Comic Con because number one, it would expand my brand and I'd meet new people. So I went, but I know what Lisa was really doing. She wanted to see how I'd make out in Toronto without her around. And she taught me well because I remember I was taking the subway to where I was lodging and my phone rang. And it wasn't the night I arrived. I think it was a Saturday. She asked how I was doing. I said, well, you taught me well. I know exactly where I'm going. I had to get some directions to the convention center, but I was never filled with anxiety doing so, you know?
Mm.
So she taught me well. And then I connected with her for the last Horrorama I was at, which she was back in town. So, but
Awesome.
yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So I consider Toronto like a second home to me.
Okay.
I'd live there if I could afford it.
Yeah. Well, there's no in Niagara Falls. There's no subways. It's all public transit buses. But the
Hmm.
convention center is about a 10-minute walk right down to the actual brink of the falls. So you'll have a great view there. It's a fantastic city, lots to do. Party area down on Clifton Hill, you know, lots of restaurants, patios, all kinds of attractions and things like that. If you get a chance to do the Sky Wheel, probably the best view of the city. Really cool place. It's a giant Ferris wheel that kind of overlooks everything down to the falls. Really cool. So,
Okay.
yeah, you should look it up though. Look up Niagara Falls, and there's zip lining down by the falls and all kinds of things where if you come a day or two early, you can play tourist and really enjoy yourself down here. And that's kind of one of the areas where we're lucky is that Niagara Falls is a destination too, right? So horror fans are coming to Niagara to experience an event, but they can stay, you know, like I said, an extra day or two, do some really cool activities and really, you know, get to enjoy themselves in an area that, you know, not a lot of cities have. There, you know, there's not too many cities like Niagara Falls out there. That's for sure.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I spend a week in Toronto when I go, because I like to, anytime if Lisa is free, I like to spend some time with her. But my clientele down there's kind of expanded too, because I know somebody that's going to be at the convention. They're quite excited that I'm going. Is the band Blood Opera?
Okay.
Yep, and they said they're going to be at Frightmare in the Falls, and so I'm happy to see them. And they're going to be there. Tia Munster said she's going to be there. So I'm like, okay, these are people I've interviewed, but they're also people that I talk to regularly. So they're going to be there at Frightmare in the Fall. So I already feel like I'm walking into something pretty cool here, you know?
Well, like we were saying, right? It's a community. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. The horror community is a very strong, passionate, tight knit community. You know, if you the horror fans, if you treat them right, all the horror fans will know. If you treat them wrong, all the horror fans will know. Everybody knows the vendors who treat you nice at the shows. They know the vendors who aren't really the most pleasant. You know, they all the fans know, and they know the actors. They know who they want to meet. It's a really, like I said, it's a tight knit crew, and it really is a really, really dedicated fan base that we're very, very lucky to work with. And we're just happy to be back. It really is exciting. So
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited, and yeah, this will be my first. So you guys started in 2017.
yeah, so we ran 3 Frightmare in the Falls
Mm-hmm.
before the pandemic hit. Last year we had about 20 guests booked. We were raring to go. It was our biggest lineup ever, and then the pandemic hit in March. So we hadn't announced anything yet. We were ready to make our announcements. Tickets normally go on sale in June. We were ready for that, but I think it was probably late in the summer where we were just so disappointed and realized that it more than likely wasn't going to happen. So when the province entered stage 3, which allows events with a limited capacity, we figured we can still make it work. Maybe a scaled down version a little bit. We're probably going to be similar to year 1 with our size of our guest list, probably around 10 to 12 people. But overall, you're going to get the same experience you get at our shows, because the event is not just about the celebrities, right? It's about the sense of community. There's people who love dressing up.
Oh yeah.
We have fans that travel from Quebec, that we know on a first name basis that dress as Jason every time, and things like that, right? And guys like that support the show, and they just want to be around and have fun, and it really is the biggest horror convention in Canada. So we're lucky like that. We've got over 60 vendors that sell everything. We've got masks, we've got original art, we've got movie posters, we've got T-shirts, we've collectibles, the newest Funkos. Like if you name something horror, we've got horror comics, the old ones, like stuff that's hard to find. So it's such a great show, and working with Rue Morgue has been absolutely fantastic. Rue Morgue is our presenting sponsor. They're huge supporters of the show. We love working with Jody and his team, and Andrea and Rodrigo and everybody. So they're just they're phenomenal to work with. They do a lot of advertising for us and stuff like that on their website for us. It's a great partnership. They bring Canadian horror to the table, which is we always want to support Canadians as much as we can. We've got horror makeup effects, like the Butcher Shop, which has supported the show for a couple of years now, and they bring life-size props and effects they've done for movies. They do seminars on creating wounds, and I think they did one last show on turning someone into a werewolf.
Okay.
Which was really cool, applying werewolf makeup. We've got Locked in the Cellar Creations. They're an FX studio as well, but they've created interactive displays and photo ops for our event every single year. And this year they've got one for the first time. There's a gurney set up with a gruesome body, and you'll go under and pop your head through, and you're the dead body for the photo op, and just fun stuff like that. It's again, it's interactive things that really matter to fans. And you know, even our guest list, I mean, we've got some legends on there. Everybody knows, you know, horror fans know Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes, and Linnea Quigley is a scream queen. And then we've got, you know, Ken Foray, who, I mean, Dawn of the Dead. What horror fan doesn't love Ken and doesn't love that film, right? So it's that, you know, film is a landmark in horror films. So you know, we're looking forward to, just like I said, being back and having all these cool experiences for fans to enjoy.
Here's the difference I found between Horrorama and Toronto Comic Con. And I liked both events, don't get me wrong. But I found with Horrorama, you have more time with the guests. Yeah, I found that you weren't just railed through, you know. It's more personable. One of the things I found with Comic Con, and again, I like the experience, but I remember it took me like 90 minutes in line to meet Ron Perlman because I was getting autographs for other people as well. But one of the things I noticed, and again, I had no bad experience with anybody, none of the guests, nothing. But one thing I noticed with Comic Con, there was only 2 guests that really stood out beyond everybody. And this is not a knock on the others, but there were 2 that came off a little more personable than others. One was John Rhys Davies from Raiders of the Lost Ark. He would always ask the fans, you know, what they did for a living and whatnot. And I remember when I get my picture taken with them, he had his arm around me. He was going like that into my side to get me to react. He was a great guy. The other one was Corbin Burson from Major League, who his handler was just teaching him how to do selfies, and he was really digging that. They were really cool, and I almost was going to go to another Comic Con, but lockdown happened. And the reason I almost was on the verge of going is because they had announced they were going to have Jake the Snake Roberts there. And I was like, I would have loved to meet Jake the Snake, you know.
You Niagara Falls Comic Con. We've had Corbin and we've had Jake the Snake, and you know, if you're a wrestling fan, we've had probably almost anybody you can imagine that's an 80s wrestler. Our show, we've always brought the old school wrestlers in, and fans love it. We've even brought some to Frightmare at times too. And actually, Jake the Snake was booked for Frightmare 2 years ago, 2019, but had a medical emergency the day of, and was unable to attend actually that weekend.
Any chance of bringing him back to Frightmare?
Maybe, but right now this year, it just schedules are tight for a lot of people. We've reached out, but they're not sure if it's going to work. Like you said, kind of the last minute availability, right? We had a small list prepared this year of people that already said yes, but we're finding that right now, just with how much time before the show, and then with obviously, you know, the border right now is a bit of a difficulty. You know, just organizing, and you know, everybody's got to be fully vaxxed to come over and tested, and so it is it can be a bit of a nuisance for travel right now. So, but you know, we're working on it, and we have a good list right now. We think we have a great list. We're looking to get a couple more if we can. We still have a couple people we haven't announced yet. So, you know, which is I can kind of give you an exclusive here. We've got Miko Hughes from Pet Sematary and Wes Craven's New Nightmare coming. And we also have Canadian filmmaker Steve Kastansky will be coming. He, of course, directed The Void and the recent Psycho Gorman, which I don't know if you've watched yet.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And that was actually directed in St. Catharines, which is like a 10-minute drive from here. It's kind of a city that's, you know, just 10 minutes on the highway. So so we're looking forward to adding them as well to the guest list.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to. And again, I don't know if you guys can do this or not. It was Lisa Langlois that was told me about Frightmare. And she just kind of told me kind of as, you know, if Horrorama's not happened, this is happening, you know. And she lives right in Toronto. she'd be a good guest to book because she was quite popular at Horrorama the year that I assisted her.
Mhm. Yeah, you know what? Lisa's someone we do want to bring in at some point. We don't know if this year, just because, like I said, we had a list and we have so many
Mm-hmm.
authors that we have to wait until we find out who's in and who's not,
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out who we can add. You know, budgeting reasons, things like that, right? We don't want to kind of keep things at a certain level, and
Mm-hmm.
but you know, for fan experience to stay the same and everything. But we're it's definitely, she's on our list of people we'd like to contact, whether it
Mm-hmm.
be for this year or another future year. But yeah, we have her on. You actually provided her info, which we appreciate, and
Yep.
we'll definitely be reaching out at some point. So
Well, if not this year, then next year. I know when she does it, yeah, it'll be like the previous time. I'm gonna be a sister at her table, so I thought that was pretty cool.
mhm.
I took the pictures with her fans and whatnot, and kept her table organized, and occasionally went and hunted to see if there was any merchandise that could pertain to her films, and I'd bring back to her, and yeah. So I am going to see Lisa when I go back to Toronto, so that's going to be fun. Um, I did want to know whether, because I don't know what it's like in Toronto. We're in the green right now and we're mask free. I was at the mall. I went and saw the new Suicide Squad movie. Actually, I've been going back to the movie theater since July 2020, by the way.
You know, it's
New,
when they've been open, we've gone. We never stopped going. When they were open, we went.
yeah, we where I work as a cleaner, I work at nights, so I'm never around people. My big problem is that our station was closed, and thank goodness for Zoom that I was able to make this work. Otherwise, I wouldn't been able to do my show.
Mhm.
But I was at the mall seeing Suicide Squad, and about 75% of the people at the mall weren't wearing masks. And I don't think that's anti-vaxxers. I think it's a lot of people. It's just like we want to get back to normal.
Yeah.
And I am fully vaxxed. One thing I wanted to know from Lisa if she was comfortable with connecting with me there, But she said she was fully vaxxed. So I was like, good. Last thing I wanted to do was present some kind of threat health wise.
Well, it's a good thing you're actually bringing that up, because so I guess we should let the fans know. So as far as safety protocols at Frightmare in the Falls, all provincial guidelines will be followed.
Mm-hmm.
So we will ask people to social distance, screening at the door, just are you sick, things like that. Just the normal provincial rules. Right now, masks are mandated, so people will be requested to wear masks at the show. Um, Other than that, though, we're going to we want to provide a safe and fun event, like you said, to get back as close to possible as normal. As close to the way things were before. So all safety protocols will be in there. There'll be sanitizer. We'll have booths will be spread out a little bit, so for the safety of the vendors and when fans are perusing. We're probably going to have some wider aisles, just things like that. But so this year will be a little different than normal, but it's going to be as close as humanly possible to the previous events while keeping everyone safe. So, but
One
we
of
are
the
still under a mask mandate in Ontario.
Yeah. Well, I have no problem with that. Like I said, I got some cool masks
Yeah,
I can wear.
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Actually, they're big conversation pieces, because I wore them at work, and especially my Blues Brothers one. A lot of people, like if I'm filling in for somebody in a government building, a lot of people will like, I love your mask. And I'd interviewed 3 of the Blues Brothers band. And so that would come up and I'd be like, yeah, I'd have a long conversation about the Blues Brothers, but I come prepared for that because I don't like wearing masks. So I figured if I'm gonna wear a mask, I might as well class it up. So that's kind of how I did it, you
So,
know?
yep. Hey,
Yep.
good times.
Yep. Of course, Jason Bradford, who's working with me on 13 Fanboy, made this mask.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, a final chapter mask. But We'll talk about 13 Fanboy momentarily because I'm a co-producer on that.
Oh, cool.
Yep. But no, one of the things I wanted to know, because when I met people, and this of course was pre-pandemic, but when I have my picture taken with the guest, I would, again, I prefer we not have our mask on.
Mhm.
Are we able to do that?
So we're still working with the province to see exactly what will be allowed and what won't in regards to that. We're hoping that for photo ops, if the guest is comfortable, you can both take your mask down for that. But we're not entirely sure yet. The province, we've gone back and forth with public health, who gets
Mm-hmm.
all their direction from the province. And to be completely frank with you, the province has not really given full details yet for consumer shows.
Mm-hmm.
To our knowledge, we'll be one of the first consumer shows back in the Niagara region. We'll definitely be the first fan event in the Niagara region to return. So we're hoping in the next 2 months we get some clarity and there'll be some changes made that will allow, a little less restrictive. I know right now our case numbers have gone up a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but deaths have gone far down. I think we're 3 or 4 days in a row with no deaths due to the virus. So hopefully we can get some clarification down the pipeline. But the convention center, the Scotiabank Convention Center has been great to work with. They've been kind of trying to get all that info for us as well, and they've been extremely helpful with guidelines and working on the floor plan and things like that. So when we have more clarity, we'll make sure everybody knows, and all the rules will be kind of listed. But we'll like I said, we really don't have an answer for that yet, but we're hoping to. We should know hopefully in the next few weeks to month.
I hope so. I remember like some of the memories. Like I was the first to have Lynn Laurie on my show, and I met her at the 2018 Horrorama. And I remember she was a hugger,
Yeah.
and I like stuff like that, And I met her both days, and it was wonderful having her on here. But that's part of the experience. Now, some people like Sandy Johnson know, like from Halloween, she knew how to counter this in a really cool way because she said she brings the Judith Miner's headstone,
Oh, cool.
and she has it in between her and the fan. She would prefer contact herself, but she said this makes it a little more personable, and I like her thinking on that, So yeah, but you do have a really good guest list lined up. I'm a sucker for a pretty face, so it was pretty much the moment you guys announced Laura Vandervoort. I'm like, yeah, I want to see this beautiful woman.
Laura's fantastic. We've had her at Hamilton Comic Con as well, and that's another one that you were mentioning. Great fan experience. That will be Laura at the show. One thing we've learned too is that, like you said, horror guests spend a lot of time with their fans. They go out of their way to make sure everybody has an experience. Even when we had Robert England, his lineup was massive, and he took several minutes out of every single interaction with a fan. It wasn't just a conveyor belt of autographs for him, which was really really cool. He even stayed late. He had broken his foot about a month before and canceled I think 2 or 3 shows leading up to ours. But he didn't cancel ours. He had never been to the falls. He promised he would make it, and he did. And on this Saturday, he stayed a little bit past close, and he had to leave. His foot was getting sore, and some of the fans were a little disappointed. And we worked out with them. We said, "Listen, guys, here we know you waited for a couple hours, and he has to leave." And most of them came back the next morning. We put them to the front of the line so they could meet him right away. If some of them were leaving town, things like that. So we made sure they, and he worked on it too to make sure they still got their experience, which was really really cool of him. And that's just, you'll hear a ton of stories like that in the horror industry, just how cool they are with their fans, and it's really really great to see. It really is.
Well, I got something I'm gonna get Laura Vandervoort to sign because this movie was incredibly scary, and I hope she doesn't freak out when she sees it. I'm gonna bring my Ted Blu-ray.
You know what? I love Ted. I think that's a great movie. So I think that's a good one to get signed.
I'm gonna get that sign. I mean, people could talk about Mila Kunis, but I think Laura Vandervoort was the hottest woman in that movie. I'm like, I want to go back to the office and see her.
Yeah, she's fantastic to work with too. Like I said, Hamilton Comic Con, the experience she gave the fans was just amazing. So
Yeah.
you'll enjoy that one.
Yep. Now, Linnea Quigley, I've met before. I plan to meet her again. I had her actually on my show. She was at Horrorama a couple times. I met her at the 2018 one.
Okay.
And I had her on my show the year after on my birthday, of all times.
Nice.
Yep. And I got her to sign my Silent Night, Deadly Night Blu-ray because she was the antler victim, but I got a couple pictures from her. But Linnea is somebody you just gotta go see her again. And she's a hoot. I took pictures of her at her panel she did, and she is a hoot. So I plan to go see her again, and I know she'll have other pictures there to be signed. I get a couple pictures from her. One of her holding a chainsaw, and one of her from Night of the Creeps with her the pink dress and her butt hanging out, and I'm like, yeah, some of these autograph sections is like there's so much to choose from. It's like, so I plan to go meet her again. And one person you just announced that I plan to go see is Lisa Loring, Wednesday Addams.
Yeah, that's exciting. We're very excited for that. She's, to our knowledge, never done a Canadian show, or like anywhere near here anyway. So we're really excited to bring her in. I mean, that's the OG, right? So
Mm-hmm. You want me to tell you a couple other people that's never done a Canadian show?
sure.
A lot of times when if somebody's passed away, I'll do tribute interviews. Like I've had Alfred Hitchcock's granddaughter's been on here. I've had Audrey Hepburn's eldest son. I had Zoe Tamerlis Lunds from Miss 45. Her widow's been on here 4 times, and I'm still in touch with him. But one person that said she's never done a con in Canada and would be open to it is Sarah Karloff.
Really?
Yep. She said not only has she not done a con in Canada, but she said one of the experiences she gives is she does a whole thing where like a slideshow thing that involves her dad, Boris Karloff, and stuff like that. So she's somebody you might want to consider in the future. And this woman's not exactly horror related, although she did do the Midnight Hour, is Cindy Morgan. Of course, she was known for Caddyshack and Tron.
We've had her at Niagara Falls Comic Con.
Okay, must have
Yeah.
been. I had her on the show in 2015, so maybe it was after that. So
Yeah. Yeah, we had her, I think, in 2018 or 2019. I don't remember, at Niagara Falls Comic Con.
oh, nice. I'm looking. I want to get her back on here because she was just a hoot to interview. Yeah. But Sarah Karloff has not done one in Canada, and I was a little surprised to hear that. But nonetheless, I do want to meet Wednesday Addams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa Loring. That's we're happy about that one. She was actually someone who was booked last year,
Mm-hmm.
for 2019, or sorry, for 2020, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But her schedule was open for this year, so we lucked out with that.
Awesome. Ken Forey, I've never met. I'm open to meeting him. I'd like to get a Dawn of the Dead on Blu-ray, and I'm going to tell you, it's hard to get it at a decent price on online, because I figured if I get him to sign something, that would be it. But I'm going to see if I can track it down where I don't have to spend the 3 digits to get it, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. I was thinking the same thing with Linnea Quigley with Return of the Living Dead, and that's pricey to get online. And although I got Silent Night, Deadly Night signed, but if worst comes to worst, I think Night School she was in. I've got that here. So worst comes to worst, and she wasn't originally slated to be in that. She was a replacement. So worst comes to worst, but Ken Furry I'm interested in. Michael Berryman I've never met before. I'm interested in.
Michael's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. You'll love chatting with him. What
Yeah.
an interesting guy. He's led a crazy life. Let you talk to him, we get some stories about his life, and just amazing.
I got to get him on here. I haven't yet, but I got to get him on here. Now, Mitch Markowitz. I grew up watching the hilarious House of Frankenstein, and I'd kind of forgotten about the show until you guys had him listed, and I'm like, my brothers and I used to watch this show. I'm like, okay, I'd be open to meeting him just for that nostalgia.
Yep.
Yeah. And Lou Ferrigno, of course. You got him going to be there.
The Incredible Hulk, right? Everybody
Yep.
knows who the Incredible Hulk is.
Well, the She-Hulk was wandering around Comic-Con, so.
It only makes sense that the Hulk is walking around Niagara Falls.
That's right. And I'm going to botch this guy's last name. Ken Kurtzinger?
Ken Kirzinger, yep.
Kurtzinger, okay. I have the Friday the 13th box set.
Yep.
So I know he's seen briefly in Jason Takes Manhattan, but he plays Jason in Freddy versus Jason.
Yep.
And so I got that box set here. So
Ken's a phenomenal guy too. Again, you go up and down the list, and everybody the fans will love meeting. They are absolutely great guests that love to spend time with their fans. Ken's hilarious. Lou Ferrigno's a great time. You know, just up and down the list. We don't have anybody that fans won't enjoy meeting. The experience is second to none at shows like these horror conventions and shows like Frightmare.
Actually, speaking of Ken, I should show this. This is a nice little item. Unfortunately, this guy, according to Sean Clark, I don't think this guy's going to be able to do any more cons. He's 95 years old, but I've had him on my show twice.
Ted White.
Ted White.
We actually have featured Ted a few times as well at Niagara Falls Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Ted still does shows, to my knowledge. He did Niagara Falls Comic-Con, I believe in 2015 or 16 was supposed to be like his last Canadian appearance, and then he wanted to come again, and we've had him twice now.
Yeah.
So, Ed's just he's awesome. He'll sit at the table and hang out with people all day, fans, and you wouldn't know to look at him that he's in his mid-90s at all.
Oh yeah.
The guy's in better shape than me. I wouldn't fight him.
Oh, I've had him on here twice. I haven't had him on Zoom, but I had him on here twice, and I'll tell you the stories he told and the people that he doubled for in his career.
John Wayne, right?
John Wayne, Clark Gable. I mean, he knew Marilyn Monroe before she was Marilyn Monroe.
Yep.
Yeah, like he told some story. He's my favorite Jason. Yeah, he's my favorite Jason. So I was really happy to, because he sent this to me, and I was happy to get that. And a picture of him going through the window, he signed that, trying to strangle Corey Feldman, which was not far from the truth, apparently. But I know there's some people that have asked me, and I have no control over this, but I've been doing this podcast long enough where I get people say, "Can you get me at a show in Canada? Can you get me at a show in Canada?" And I'm like, I have no control, but I can make the suggestion. But some people who have approached me, one is Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist, played Pazuzu.
Mhm.
Yep. And she's a hoot. I just got some mail from her. She sent me a little Pazuzu statuette
Okay.
with the Exorcist script. Um, she's somebody would love to do a con in Canada, so she's somebody you might consider next year or whatever. Sandy Johnson, I recommend highly.
Yep.
Yep. I've had her on here twice, and I can't tell you how much I love that woman.
Yeah, she just started doing conventions in the last year or two, if I'm not mistaken.
And she's got the bug. She's got the bug. I love her story because she didn't leave the business over, like, we all hear the story about why Adrienne King stepped out for a long time because she had a stalker incident.
Mhm.
With Sandy, it was nothing like that. You
Mhm.
know, she just kind of stepped out. So she really was um, didn't know what was going on with Halloween and this and that. So it was kind of interesting when they got her because they wanted to get her to sign off on footage for 2018 Halloween.
Mhm.
And so all the balls came in order and they got connected with her. So, and she's been wonderful. Another one, of course, I definitely recommend is Nancy Mclaughlin. If you ever get, I'm having her on later on for a fourth time. I talked to her for over an hour on the phone a couple nights ago.
Okay.
Yep, like Lisa, she's one. I've never met her though. I've met Lisa, but Nancy's one of these people. We talk to each other quite a bit, and sometimes she'll call me. She sent this to me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's got her initials on the back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got number 2. So Nancy is a real hoot, and she's a lot of fun. So there are some people out there that I would recommend highly, just based on experience.
Mhm.
Like they're really cool people, and of course you always want cool guests. And of course I recommend Lisa highly.
Yeah.
Lisa and I went around to all the locations for class of 1984, which was a lot of fun. But in Toronto, and
I didn't know that's where it was filmed.
oh yeah, we
Oh,
got our picture taken in front of the school. We also found the house where the teacher's wife was kidnapped and had a for sale sign in front of it. Actually, I've had Mary Lynn Ross, who played Mrs. Norris, on the show a couple times, and I called her afterwards. I told her, "Do you realize your house is up for sale?"
that's awesome.
She thought that was funny. Um, yeah, and a lot of the Black Christmas people are great too. Yeah, but one thing I did want to bring up was 13 Fanboy, which finally gets a release October 22nd.
Oh, wow.
Did you
Congrats.
did you hear about this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I had Debbie Sue Voorhees on my show 4 times. And on that third time, she had mentioned 13 Fanboy. And you know how she got my involvement?
No.
She dropped one name to me, Tracy Savage. And I was like, there was just no way I was going to say no because I had a humongous crush on Tracy Savage growing up from part 3.
Okay.
And I've had Tracy on here a couple times. So I got on as one of the co-producers, and my picture's going to be in a scene with Tracy Savage, which I was happy about. Apparently, it gets splattered in blood, so my scene's involved in an FX scene.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. But yeah, 13 Fanboy. If we don't get it here, I'm gonna be in Toronto for a week, and I'm hoping maybe it might play in Toronto somewhere.
Mhm.
if any place, because I'd love to see it on the big screen.
So it's a limited release, but on demand, I assume, right?
Yeah, but I want to see it on the big screen, of
Oh, of
course.
course.
You
There's,
know?
there's nothing like seeing a movie in a theater. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, yeah, like especially one that I put money into.
Mhm.
So I've interviewed 18 people out of 13 fanboys. So some of them, of course, before that movie came out, but I'm excited for that one. But nonetheless, yeah, I'm glad you heard of it. A lot of people are not talking about it, so I'm trying to get the word out.
Okay.
Did you hear about Hearts of Darkness, the making of the Final Friday?
That one I have not. No.
Okay, I had Adam Marcus on a couple times,
Okay.
and he's a great guy. And of course, he directed Jason Goes to Hell.
Mhm.
And how this came about is Sean S. Cunningham was at one of the cons. And I remember this quote, and Adam Marcus talked about it in Fangoria, the year that Jason Goes to Hell came out in 1993. Had
Mhm.
Jason on the cover. The quote was from Sean Cunningham, "Get that damn hockey mask off of Jason." Well, that question was brought up to Sean at this con, and Sean said it was an effing lie. And he was videoed saying it because I guess Kane Hodder gave an interesting reaction to Sean's comment. And word got back to Adam Marcus about it. And Adam said this is interesting because he said that he was only a 23-year-old, fresh out of film school student doing that film. So he said either he's got so much control over Sean that he demanded the hockey mask come off of Jason, or Sean told him to take the hockey mask off of Jason. So Adam is making this documentary directed by Edwin Samuelson called Hearts of Darkness, the making of the Final Friday. And he's going to address all the controversies surrounding this film. He's got a lot of interviews involving that film in place for it too. So that is currently filming. He's got a few people still to be interviewed for it. And I also cameo in 9 James Balsamo movies. Are you familiar with James Balsamo?
No, I'm not.
Okay. James, he's one of these trauma like filmmakers.
Okay.
And he goes around to the cons and he makes connections with these named performers and gets them to appear in his movies. I don't know how he does it. I never met James, but I had him on my show through Genevieve Rossi, who's been in a lot of his movies. He called me up one night, or actually sent me an email one night when I was working. It was 4 a.m. where I was, so it would have been midnight where he was. And he asked me to shoot my own death scene for Cool as Hell 2. So I called him up and I said, "What's the context of this?" Anyway, Linnea Quigley was in Cool as Hell 2. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm game." Well, he just had a film play at the Chinese Theater in Los Angeles called It Wants Blood. And I'm in 2 scenes in that, being watched on a television, footage that was shot on my phone, watched on a television by Eric Roberts. So it's funny. I remember the days in high school, we had typewriters, we had phones that stick into the wall and stuff. Now I could be in a movie with Eric Roberts and I never even met the guy, didn't even have to leave Fredericton.
That's awesome. That's an amazing story.
Yep. So anyway, talk about getting back to Frightmare. Talk about what it takes to prepare one of these events. How much planning in advance? Like after this event is done, when do you start preparations for next year's Frightmare?
Right
How
away.
does that
Right,
right
right.
away?
Absolutely. We don't. There's no time to waste. Right.
Mm-hmm.
When you think an actor's schedule is consistently changing between TV roles, movie roles, other conventions, other appearances, things like that, family events. We try to get things into people's calendars as early as possible, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously every year We're trying to book different and cool exhibits and attractions. So it really is a year-round job for us between all the events we run. And Frightmare it's once the event starts, it's great to see it kind of run on its own. Once it started and things are in place and people are there, it kind of shows everything. Everything's good to go and kind of rolling on its own. But it takes a lot of preparation. We have there's vendor booths and there's so many things. There's sound, and we got to go back for the convention center and insurance and organizing flights and airport pickups for the celebrity guests and hotel rooms, and there's and the marketing behind it. There's a ton of things that people don't realize go on behind the scenes to put on a show of this magnitude.
Wow. Talk about some of your experiences with some of the guests. Like, who are some of the guests that just blew your mind when you finally met them?
Well, at Frightmare, we've worked with Kane Hodder before, and that's always a pleasure. We've worked with him, I think, 3 or 4 times now. Bill Moseley was great. Michael Berryman was fantastic. But for me, being a horror fan, kind of a personal figure for me was Tommy Lee Wallace. I'm a huge Halloween fan. It's my favorite horror movie. I've actually got some Halloween autographs up there around my desk. I've got a butcher knife there signed by Carpenter and Castle and Jamie Lee Curtis, and I've got a mask there signed by Castle and Wallace and Tony Moore and guys that played the Shape. And meeting Tommy Wallace and kind of talking to him, and I mean, this guy created the iconic Michael Myers mask, right? Like, so that kind of was that was really cool for me. If you had told 10-year-old James, hey, someday you're going to work with the guy that created the mask and he's Michael in this scene, and it was kind of that was kind of cool for me. I'm a huge horror fan. I'm a huge movie fan. So we're really, really excited and happy when Frightmare we kind of picked up, and it seemed right off the bat that fans embraced it. It's been a very successful show. So that kind of was a surreal moment for me meeting Tommy Lee, but just in general, the overall atmosphere and everything about the show has just been great for us. It's just we have nothing to complain about. Meeting Adrienne Barbeau was great too.
I had her on here, yeah.
Creep Show was awesome, and Escape from New York. She's got so many iconic roles. And even this year, we had Ken Forey, I think back in 2014 or 15 at Niagara Falls Comic Con. Looking forward to seeing him again. And like you said, Lou Ferrigno and Laura Vandervoort's great, Michael Berryman and Linnea Quigley, and guests we never met before, like Steve Kastansky, and really just looking forward to overall the event this year too. It's been the last year and a half have been a long year and a half, right? So it feels like it's been 10 years since we did a horror show. So I'm really looking forward for Frightmare just get back in it. It's really looking forward to that.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. It's funny you mentioned that when you mentioned 10-year-old self. I have a hard time fathoming, because I was not a popular kid growing up. I was probably the lowest in my class. School was not my strong point, and so I got into reviewing movies in 1996 because I like to write, and I started with the station in 2005, and I did that for 10 years until I like I said, I got a chance interview with Tommy Wiseau from The Room. And I remember after that was so surreal, especially Tommy Wiseau. But it's like, who else can I do this with? I had an uncle that owned a video store when I was young. So my mind went right back to that video store. I was like, who else could I do this with? If it was Tommy Wiseau, one and done, I would have been fine. I talked to Tommy Wiseau, But my mind went back to the video store, and I was like, I remember I had crushes on a lot of actresses growing up. So the first 2 people I reached out to were Adrienne King from Friday the 13th and Lisa Langlois. Adrienne got back to me that long weekend in May. I interviewed Tommy Wiseau in April of 2015. And Adrian King got back to me. It was the Monday of that long weekend in May. And when she got back to me, I never like, I reached out just by chance. And when she answered, I just kind of leaned against my chair. I was like, she said yes. And I had goosebumps leading up to that because I remember I had a big crush on Adrian in that movie, that first movie. And I was like, I was nervous. I was like, I was going to talk to this person. And Lisa Langlois eventually got back to me, and that spun into an even bigger thing, me doing my first con. Lisa's total credit for me even getting my ass out of Fredericton, because I never planned on traveling. I never planned on getting in a plane, but you know, when Lisa tells you to do it, you do it. And I had a blast. So I owe that to her. Now when I'm involved with 13 Fanboy, and I just work as a cleaner here in Fredericton, you know, like there's nothing special about my lifestyle, but this is very surreal. So when you say 10-year-old self, I kind of get that. There comes points where you're kind of like, is this really happening? You know, like I'm just in a little apartment here in between when my brother and sister-in-law and I are supposed to have our own place where I live downstairs and they live upstairs. So unfortunately, I don't have all my collectibles behind me, you know, but because they're all packed away. Because I'll tell you, when you go to those vendors,
How do you say no to some of the cool stuff?
when I come back from Comic Con, I have 4 bags of stuff. And I remember there was this cab driver across the street from me. I was walking towards the subway and I was like switching these hand to hand because I was just getting tired. And I'm a pretty strong guy, but I saw this cab driver. He just was giving me this look like, you need a drive, don't you? I was like, yeah.
You.
I found a booth that had a bunch of those old LGN wrestling figures.
Uh-oh.
I bought a dozen of those blasted things. They were all in good shape. And I was like, okay.
Can't say no to that.
Oh my goodness. I bought a bunch of other stuff there. And I know Twisted Tees does some great t-shirts as well. And I got a bunch of those. And I was like, I remember somebody there wanted to sell me a big Jason figurine made of like the likeness of Ted White from the final chapter. And he was going to sell it to me for reduced price because I had interviewed him. But I was like, where would I put that? I got to get that back to Fredericton, you know? Actually, I was like, how am I going to get all this stuff back home? I managed to get packed away. It's like one of those cartoons where they're stomping on the suitcase.
Right.
But I got it. I managed to get the stuff back. But I'm gonna tell you, you can find all kinds of stuff back there. Like kind of, and I always try to bring something back from my younger brother. He's a big evil.
Your hands will be full at Frightmare.
Oh my goodness! Don't say that. Don't say that. But yeah, I look forward to that because there's just all kinds of stuff. I remember the year I met Linnea, I found a figurine from Silent Night, Deadly Night of the Killer Santa, you know, and it looks so good. I did grab that, but yeah, you can. There's just so much. And are you familiar with the band Blood Opera? They said they're going to be there.
Absolutely, yeah. Chris has been a big supporter of the show. They've been to our show. I think this will be a 3rd or 4th year. They played at our after party back in 2019 up on stage with Ari Lehman as well. You know, Coop and the guys are great. They're actually one of the cool things of the show. They're going to have their hearse on display as well. Their
They said they're going to drive it into the thing.
Yep, they're driving it into the venue, and they're going to have their whole setup with the massive hearse, which is really cool.
I met Blood Opera in 2017 at Horrorama, and I've seen them there every year since. The first year I went there, because I knew they had worked with Lisa before, doing something for class of 1984. And I remember they gave me their card. And I talked briefly with them and just did my thing. 2018, they remembered me. And Lisa was not on the guest list, but she had called me and asked me to ask Chris Alexander if it's okay if she showed up. She said, look, very supportive of a former guest showed up. And Chris Alexander said, yeah, tell her to come. Lisa shows up and she meets me there. And of course, people swarm her at the door. but Lisa and I and Blood Opera all went to a restaurant afterwards, like a little pub, and had poutine and nachos. And I got to know Blood Opera a little better. Mm-hmm. 2019 was the real hitter for Blood Opera, because when I connected with them, they had done a song called Fanboy that they had wrote for 13 Fanboy. And they said, hey, you're involved with 13 Fanboy. Could you help us get this song to Debbie Sue Voorhees? And Debbie Sue lives in New Mexico, but I had her number. So I called her right there, right in front of her. And her answering machine come on. So I left her a message. She got back to me right away. She gave instructions, and I don't think she's going to use it because she's got a lot of music for it, including an Ari Lehman song called Victim, and a Tom Mclaughlin song from Sloth. But I know Sean Clark really liked Fanboy, which was pretty cool. So I've gotten closer connected with Blood Opera, and I've had them on the show here twice.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Actually, to take this even further, I call Chris probably way too much. Although he's never bothered by it. I got a little funny story for you. I got both vaccinations. And my supervisor, of course, was wiped out by it. But I worked through it. In fact, my car had stalled down a busy street, and and the mechanics couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So the day I got my second vaccine, I ended up getting a new car that day too. So I had no time to be sick. But other than a sore arm, I worked through both vaccinations, which I'm happy about. Well, Chris's mom, who's very supportive of me, she put on Facebook, like I announced that I got my second vaccination, and his mom put, oh, congratulations. Max Explosion and Trash both got theirs today too. I was like, great. Well, Chris made a big mistake, because on Facebook later that day, he put a post, the second vaccination totally wiped us out, I should say. Bad thing to tell me, because I got on my phone, pushed voice messages, and I was like, hey, Blood Opera, Chris, you know, the Backstreet Boys are asking why you guys are.
He gave you an opportunity and you took it, eh?
I laughed at their, of course, Chris responded and he said he got a big kick out of me laughing about, let's listen to me laugh about their condition. Because I got on there and I said, gee, Chris, you know, I got the second vaccination. You know where I am right now? I'm at work. But I would make comparisons. I say, you remember in American Werewolf in London when the guy is, you know, you could almost say he's got vaccination, only he got bit by a werewolf and he's transformation. You know what? He still went to work. He woke up in a zoo, but he still went to work. I gave him hell. I must have sent him like 12 voice messages. He'd respond periodically, and it was like he just got a kick out of me laughing about it. But and I wouldn't have done it if he didn't have a good head on his shoulders about it. But I ribbed him to death about that. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Blood Opera again. I'm hoping Creepy Ghoul gets out, who's a YouTuber who I had on my show this year. He'd do the walk around videos for Horrorama.
Okay.
And he did them every year. Horrorama went. He caught like a 2-second glimpse of me in the 2018 one. So I'm hoping he makes it. It depends on his schedule. Tia Munster's going to be there. You think Chris Alexander will be there for this? I know
Chris is coming down on a Saturday, I believe.
Uh-huh.
He's got a lot going on right now with his new film and everything. So we were speaking, and Chris and I are pretty good friends too. We keep in contact consistently, and have talked about some other projects and stuff together. I've known Chris for, I want to say, about 8 years now. I think 8-9 years since Comic-Con. When he was still working for Fangoria, we worked together, and we've kept in touch. And he's come down with his kids to the falls, and I've gone down for a visit to see them, on the hill and stuff like that. He's been a big supporter of the show too, but his schedule is kind of tough this year, so I think he's only coming on Saturday. But Allie is coming down on Friday and Saturday. She'll be in the Necropolis costume as well. Yeah, she'll be in costume at the show and promoting the movie and everything. One of our featured guests as well. We haven't announced that yet, but it's coming.
I love Allie.
Allie's great.
This is signed by her. I had her on back in February. She was on here for 3 hours, and no, that's not my longest guest. But no, Craig Mclaughlin, Microwave Massacre.
Yep.
He's a talker. He was on for 4 hours and 8 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's somebody you might want to bring in too. He's another one of these guys that's been asking me.
Well, just so you know, I only got about another 5 minutes.
Oh, come on! You're not gonna beat that.
No,
you're not gonna beat Allie.
I would love to. But my phone's ringing off the hook right now. I got it on vibrate, and it's driving me nuts. I'm gonna
tell them to ignore it. We're talking about Allie. Allie would be disappointed if we cut off from talking about her. I love Allie Chapel, and I met her at every year at Horrorama, so I'm looking forward to seeing her. Suspect Video, Louis Cerez, will they be there?
Yeah, Louis will be there. Louis is a great supporter of the show too. Actually, I talked to Louis probably about 2 weeks ago. He was packing up he was going to a cottage, and he had just gotten back from a cottage a week before or something, and we were just talking about events and the last year and a half, and having like you said, Horrorama having to postpone, but we were just talking. I love Louis as well. Louis is a great.
I've had Louis on here a couple times. You should have a contest to see between Chris and Louis what they look like underneath the hats. I've been trying to get Chris. I got his email, but I've been trying like hell to get him on the show. I've had everybody around him, although Allie, I got to admit, is too lovely not to talk to. So I enjoyed it. You mentioned the butcher shop. They were part of this.
Yes, they were, and so was Rabid Dog Films and a couple other guys that will be at the show. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I heard you guys are going to have Ryan Brown.
Yes, so Ryan Brown will be at the show doing performing Horror Illusions, which we're really excited for. First time we've done it. We've never had Ryan at the show, and Ryan reached out a little while ago. And
I know. When he found out I was going.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've had Brian on here a couple times, and I've actually recorded his show one time.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's really great. He's got a great dove act. Yep. He's does great with cards and the ring. He's actually done Facebook lives where he's just, Greg, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? Give me some advice. So I'm very much in touch with Ryan. So yeah, I knew Ryan was going to be showing up. So yeah, so he's looking forward to seeing me. It's funny. It went from like I said, I'm going to see Lisa when I go down there, but I do know there's other people that have come to know through going to Toronto, because my whole universe is kind of expanded, But I
love that too. Very, very tight knit community, right? Look at all the there's a lot of people that are already attending the show, whether it be as a fan or as a guest or as a vendor, or it's just it's crazy. Like just how many connections there are just in you and I talking for an hour, right?
Yep. Well, I recommend, if I may make some suggestions for next year, if you can't get Lisa Langlois this year, I recommend her highly for next year. I recommend Nancy Mclaughlin. She is absolutely lovely. I recommend Sandy Johnson if you ever get a chance. And if Sarah Karloff hasn't done a Canadian show, bring her in. Let me see. Of course, there's other people. I'm probably forgetting people. Craig Muckler, I know he said he's open to it. Just be prepared for a 4-hour panel. Bruce Glover was like that too. He talked for 4 hours or talked for 3 hours. Very little of that is me. They just get on a story, and I don't limit them. Why would I? I'm talking to Bruce Glover. I'm gonna let him talk. Chinatown, But nonetheless, when you mention Allie's gonna be there, I'm like, oh great, more reason for me to go.
Lots of people.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to this. If I can't figure out the ticket situation online, I'll message you or something.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, because I wanted to get that on my phone or something so I could prove to you guys that I got a ticket when I show up, as opposed to, well, how do you know I don't have a ticket? I did order the VIP.
Awesome.
Yeah. I do VIP just because it's not a matter of getting front in line. It's just a matter of, if I happen to be there or whatever, just go right in, have your little bracelet and just go right in.
The convenience of it is second to none. It's really the best bang for your buck. And you get a wicked cool Frightmare in the Falls t-shirt, which is always good.
Which I'll be able to wear when I have you back next year. We can talk about.
We're on a podcast, exactly.
Yeah, well, I'll have you back next year, James. It was nice to have you come on here and plug this. I'm looking forward to doing my first Frightmare in the Falls, and are we going to take James and Lewis's hats off? Are we going to do a contest about that?
I'm not doing that. No way.
Why not?
I don't think you can get Chris's off. I think Chris's is probably, at this point, it's grown into his skull. It's been on for so long.
Like Jason's mask and Jason Goes to Hell?
I've never seen Chris without his helmet, without his hat ever. So I don't foresee you getting that off him.
You don't think he's got like little Charlie Brown Linus strands on his head?
I don't know what's under there, man, but that's it'll be the mystery forever.
One more question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any guests that you want to get that you haven't gotten yet?
Yeah, I mean, we have like I said, we had over 20 guests booked last year, including Linda Blair and Elvira, and unfortunately the pandemic hit, and then lineup doesn't work for this year. I mean, there's, we've been fortunate enough to get the guests we've had. We're very happy with everybody. We're always looking for, there's a million names out there we'd love to bring, Robert Englund and Ted White, like you said, maybe, and, Brad Dourif and Linda Blair and Elvira, and, there's a whole whack of guests we'd love to bring to Frightmare. It's just a matter of timing and things like that, right? It's, and right now with the situation in the world, it's tough to guarantee anything for this year. We're looking forward to everybody we have booked. Hopefully everything pans out, and things go in the right direction. And every year, we're always looking for new and exciting guests that we haven't had at Frightmare before. So
what I can do is I can forward you a list of people that I've interviewed. Should give you an idea of some people you can look out for, but I gave you a few suggestions of people that would be good to get. And Kelly Maroney would be another one. I just got a signed copy of Chopping Mall from her. So, she'd be another one. There's a lot of really good people out there, you know. Um, any chances on Tony Moran coming, or are you guys afraid of that controversy?
We're not afraid of that. We had him back in 2019, and
Mm-hmm.
I know there was some viral stuff that fans don't like, or some people don't like. But I'll tell you right now, nobody had any issues with Tony at the show, and he met a ton of fans, and he was an absolute gentleman to my business partner Chris and I, and all the people behind the scenes, everything. So not this year, but maybe in the future. We've done private signings with him since, and things like that too. And we haven't had any issues with Tony. So
I'd be open to meeting him. Why not? Why not? Well, you know what? It was a pleasure having you come on here today, and I look forward. I look forward to coming to Frightmare in the Falls and making my first one. And next year, when I have you back, I'll have a Frightmare in the Falls T-shirt on. And
awesome. Well,
yeah,
I look forward to meeting you, Greg. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
I look forward to it. I'm quite excited about it. So, never been to the falls before. It was something Lisa and I were going to do on one of my trips up there, but I'm only up there a week. But so matching her schedules up for it was. I've been planning to go to the zoo up there ever since I first started, and that's never happened yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make these things happen. But the theater experience is wonderful up there. So I've seen a lot of great movies up there, and I love it. Love it. I miss it, and I'm looking forward to going back. So, yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. And if you have Linda Blair there, make her sick so we can watch her spew up green stuff.
No, definitely not.
Why not?
That's definitely not happening.
Oh, come on. Just tell her she's going to be in the next Tommy Wiseau movie or Neil Breen movie, and that'll make it happen.
Yeah, that'll be a good idea.
Thank you so much, James, for coming on the show. And I'll send you this link when it's ready, and you can put it up on your social media, whatever, and use it to promote the show.
Perfect. Thanks for having me on, and we're looking forward to meeting you in October, and having a great show, and hopefully you can experience it to the best effect possible. Like we said, we're going to do our best to get it as close to normal a normal year as we can this year.
Well, I'm going to break the social distance because I'm taking those hats off, Lewis and Chris. I don't care.
I want no part of that, Greg. None whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out with a fishing hook, and
yeah, you got to set a trap.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, another person you might want to bring in is Uwe Boll, who also lives in Canada.
Yeah, I believe he's in Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken.
I've had him on here twice. Great guy.
Yeah, eh?
Yep, I like him. him.
Yeah,
anyway,
he'd be a great guest. He's someone we tried to work with before, and the schedule didn't work out. So,
well, I think he's a great guy. I love Postal, and I just kind of thought of that name because I was like, he's right there in Canada, So, yeah. Well, anyway, you have yourself a wonderful day, and I look forward to a great show this fall, and finally getting out. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Your long-awaited vacation.
Long awaited. I've taken no time off. Actually, my supervisor was like, I thought you weren't going because I didn't know if I was going to be going. But when I found out you guys were still doing your thing, I was like, yeah, I'm booking because my supervisor said I'm the only one she can call who doesn't bitch about it. And I said to her, I said, what are you going to do when I take a week off? And she said, go crazy. I need it, though. I need it.
You do.
Well, absolutely.
We'll show you a good time in the falls. You'll love it.
Well, I look forward to it. Anyway, I'm going to let you go, and I bid you a great day. And yes, Frightmare in the Falls this October 29th and 30th of 2021. I shall be there, and looking forward to seeing a lot of other people there as well.
Yeah, tickets and info are available at frightmareinthefalls.com.
Okay, and I'll let you know if I.
Plug that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I gotta look into that because I gotta make sure I get my ticket. So, yeah. Anyway, you have yourself a wonderful day. I love Toronto, and I'm looking forward to seeing Niagara Falls. So,
Thanks, Greg. Take care.
you take care too. God bless.
Thanks. Bye.
Yep. Bye bye.